On a winter morning, a loud rider livestreams himself, refusing to pay a fare, and humiliates a tired bus driver. A quiet passenger pays the rider's fare, and then rides past his own stop, missing a job interview to keep the driver safe and calm. The small act triggers subtle changes among fellow riders, shifting the bus's atmosphere from tense to quietly kind, without neat Hollywood payoffs. Just a quick note before we begin: hit like, share this with a friend, and subscribe for more. Also, let me know in the comments which country you're watching from. It always amazes me how far these stories travel. The first run of the 23 rolled up at 6:10, melting slush along the curb. The bus door sighed. Heat spilled down the steps in a tired ribbon. She sat there behind the plastic shield, hands on the wheel, navy cap low, breath fogging the glass. She said the same word she said every morning. Morning. Not loud, not cheerful, just enough to be a bridge. People climbed past like sleepwalkers. Boots hit rubber. Backpacks brushed coats. The fare box chimed green or coughed red. The blue seats took the same shapes as always. Construction guy with paint on his pants. Nurse in white sneakers. Kid who slept 2 stops past his school every Thursday. She didn't get thanks. She got mutters. She got a cough. She got 1,000 small looks that slid off her like rain. She had little rituals. Thumb on the edges of her wedding band, though the ring itself was gone. The visor pulled down 2 clicks, no more. The wipers set to the slow rhythm that matched the stoplights on Walnut. On her dash sat a paper napkin with somebody's phone number scribbled and smudged, a number she would not call. I was 4 rows back, right side, grey coat, cheap tie in my backpack to put on later. I had saved screenshots of common interview questions last night and fell asleep reading them. I was early, on purpose. Better to be early and breathe than to jog into a room with wet hair. We rolled. We stopped. She moved the big wheel like it weighed the morning. I liked that she didn't force a smile if she didn't have one. She did not have one today. Her eyes were a little red. Maybe it was the cold. He came up the steps with a phone already raised. Hood swapped for a silk hoodie, gold chain, flat brim hat. The phone aimed straight at her through the little rectangle cut out in the shield. His face lit blue, not by daylight, but by comments racing past. He talked to the camera more than to the woman in the seat. Watch this. Tax dollars at work, he said. He didn't tap the card. He stood there, blocking the aisle, showing her and the internet her own face. She did her script. The sir, please tap or insert cash. I can't move the bus until what? You gonna call the cops 'cause I don't donate to your little box? He smiled at the screen. The comments flew by. I saw hearts blooming on his phone, tiny and pathetic and loud, all the same. The line behind him grew. Coats pressed into coats. The heat felt dirty. A horn honked behind us. Another bus pulled up on the other side of the street and passed. People shifted, hungry to be elsewhere. She kept her voice the same, professional, tired. Sir, I have to enforce fares. Please tap or step aside. He leaned in. Smile. You're on live. Say hello to my channel. Tell them why you make people pay to go to work. Her hands clenched so small I almost missed it. 2 tiny fists, then open again. She could not look at the camera. She looked past it, at the mirror, at the traffic, at the rules pinned on the wall behind her. My phone buzzed. 8:30 interview. A little calendar square glowed. I pressed it away like an itch. He stayed put. He was enjoying the heat. The bus fell later. Someone coughed hard. A kid shuffled and almost fell on the steps. She said it again. Please tap or step aside. He laughed. You got my money last month. You get it every check. Call your supervisor. I'll tag them too. He finally tapped. The red light flashed. Oops. Guess it bounced. Guess I live here now. He lifted the phone higher to catch the driver and the people behind, all of us stuck in his little show. I stood. My legs felt like scraped ice. I didn't want to be on his video. I didn't want to be the type of person who jumps in. I also didn't want to watch her sit there and bleed out slow in front of strangers. I tapped my card and watched the green light flick on. I tapped again. It took me a second to understand the menu. Day pass. Rider add-on. The screen glitched and the fare box snarled. I tapped anyway, because tapping was the only thing I could do with my hands. You paying for me? He asked, loud and wide, so the stream could hear. Yeah, I said. My voice wasn't big. It didn't need to be. Just sit, please. You're a fan, he said. He panned his camera to me. Shout out to this clown. Heat climbed up into my ears. I didn't look at the lens. I looked at the driver. The slightest shake went out of her shoulders, like a picture settling on a nail. The fare box burped and took the money. My card balance dropped to a number I did not like. I used a wrinkled 5 for the woman behind him, who was digging with cold fingers in a bag for coins. Her hands shook, and it took too long. The comments on the screen kept popping like grease in a pan. He stepped back and swaggered toward the rear. He kept talking into his phone, but distance made it dull. People let air out of their lungs. The nurse in white sneakers slid past and sat. Boots got moving. Someone finally laughed, small, like the ceiling was too low for it. The bus lurched back into the lane, and chatter fell to a low murmur. Snow rattled the windows. The wipers made a soft metronome. She drove. She did not say thank you. Not yet. She gave me a look in the mirror that held for 1 second, then went away. We hit my stop. I could have tugged the cord. I could have stepped off, jogged 2 blocks, and saved 5 minutes. Instead, I stayed right there by the front, planted in the little area with the fold-up seats. If the man with the phone came forward again, I'd be the wall. We rolled past Maple. We rolled past Cedar. I watched my calendar square get smaller in my head. It didn't ding this time. It just cooled. "You missed your stop," she said, eyes on the road. "I know," I said. He grew bored 2 stops later. He angled his phone at the window, at the slush, at his own face. He read something off the stream and snorted. When we pulled into the transit center, he stretched like a cat. At the transit center, the loud man swung off with a final look over his shoulder. No dramatic exit, no speech. He just left. The door closed so soft after him you would have missed it if you blinked. The bus smelled like wet wool and peppermint from somebody's gum. We sat in the idle silence that lives in empty buses. She let out a breath that was almost a laugh, but not. She didn't turn all the way around. She tilted just enough to be 2 people in 2 chairs who could talk like regular people. "You didn't have to do that," she said. "I know," I said. "I also know I did it. Those are different kinds of knowing." She told me in pieces, like handing over coins. A warning from last month. A man who would try to spit at the shield because he didn't like the route detour. A write-up that said the words customer service a lot, but not the word fear, even once. Her dad on oxygen now. The home machine meant for nights, but he used it most of the day because breath is stubborn. She had been picking up doubles because winter was always worse for him. One more complaint, and it's a meeting. And if one of those videos hits their inbox, it's not even a meeting. It's just a call. She didn't say she was scared. She didn't have to. I showed her my lock screen, the calendar square that had just gone cold. "Interview?" she asked. "Second job," I said. "Weekends. Rec center. Helping kids with the gym. Trying to get the rate up. My sister just got braces I said I'd help with. It's fine. They'll have other slots." I didn't add the part where I had already moved a few bills around in my head. I didn't add the part where my gas tank light had been on last night, and I prayed the hill near my place would be generous. She reached to the side, dug in her little lunch bag, and pulled out a second coffee she had probably planned to drink at the layover. "This one's still warm," she said. She slid it through the gap in the shield. No flourish, just a hand making a path. I took it. It burned right in the place that made me present. "You heading back now?" I asked. "Still on the clock," she said. She turned the wheel and we eased back out. I got off 2 stops later, little farther than I should have, just to make sure the air had changed behind me. On the sidewalk, my shoes took on slush and weight. The bus pulled out into the grey, big and slow, the way large things are gentle when they choose to be. The next morning, a kid in a beanie wiped a clear circle on the fogged glass with his sleeve. I watched him grin at his own face in the glass and then look up like he got caught, even though no one had scolded him. He held a hand out to a woman with a stroller, and the 2 of them did the awkward turn and lift together at the middle bend. The stroller rolled smooth after that. They didn't say much. The small pride sat on his shoulders like a new jacket. Somebody taped a sticky note near the mirror that just said, "Morning, driver." The handwriting was bubbly. There was a little sun drawn above the word. It wasn't straight. It looked like it came from a hand that doesn't write notes, which made it better. Later that week, a man I had seen for months and never heard speak asked her if she wanted anything from the kiosk. He returned with a pack of throat lozenges and slid them onto the dash like he was leaving 2 quarters for luck. She nodded. The word thanks was there, small and honest. On Thursday, one of the teens who liked to skate on the plaza picked up wrappers near the front and held them until the next trash can. He didn't make a big deal about it. He just kept his headphones on and tapped his foot to something only he could hear. I did not get the first job I wanted. I wrote a polite email and got a polite, quiet back. It happens. I took an extra shift at the hardware store, cut 2 pieces of molding for a guy who swore he knew lengths by heart, and made it home late. The next week, I got a call for a weekend fill-in at the same rec center. The pay was lower. The gym smelled like old rubber and hope. Kids ran in circles until a whistle told them to turn the other way. I said yes, because sometimes you don't force the plan. You just follow it when it changes shape. On a Tuesday that looked like any other, I climbed the steps again into the same blue seats. She nodded. I nodded back. We didn't turn it into a movie. We let it be a morning, which was the right size for it. I started to notice small math I hadn't seen before. 5 seconds saved when someone had their card ready. 10 seconds when someone paid for the person who was digging in a bag. The bus hit lights we used to miss. People who were strangers yesterday knew how to stand, so the stroller fit today. It wasn't a revolution. It was a hinge on a quiet door that didn't slam as hard. There are things that cost and never show up on a bill. Time is one. Nerves are another. Dignity might be the hardest to measure until it's gone. That morning, the price got paid by a few hands. Mine was just one. It still felt like something I could carry. A white paper cup rested on the console by the fare box, steam twisting into the thin light. Nobody said whose it was. She slid her fingers around it at a red light and did that little hand-warm thing. Outside, the snow had turned to that kind of powder the plows turn into lines you can hop. The doors opened. Morning air slapped up to meet the heat. People climbed in. The fare box ticked green. The bus moved. The wipers kept time for a city that was just trying to be on time too.